Good evening, the time is now 6:30. If you would all please join me and pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Ted Demain.
Here.
Linda Chardon.
Here.
Sean Peterson.
Here.
Eric Salvoin.
Yeah.
Ian Norman. John Cabela.
Here.
Linda Fedor.
Here.
Lisa Carey.
Here.
All right, first order of business is the review and acceptance of the minutes from our previous meeting on January 17th. There is one correction that I've noticed, and hopefully we can clarify this. New business, where it said discuss and accept budget meeting schedule. It said Lynn motioned to approve the budget meeting schedule, and then Lynn seconded. I'm sure that's not how that happened, so I wonder if anybody could remember who made the motion and who seconded it.
I believe Sean, but I'll verify, I'll fix it.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Look at the video.
Yeah, it's on the video.
Linda, maybe?
Yeah, they go to the cameras.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's how that went.
Yeah,
Okay.
Lynn and Linda is what I have written down.
All right, is there any other corrections or notations that need to be made? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we accept the minutes with the correction on the line D. So do I have a motion?
I move to accept.
All right, we have a motion to accept the minutes from January 17th with the correction on line D, with Sean making the motion and Liz second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
A second.
Hang on.
Up.
I think it was Lynn and Linda. Is what was thought. I'm going to say.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Well, it would sound right because of the way the minutes were written, yeah.
Right. Can
I
we just
don't recall.
verify the minutes?
I'll verify it.
Okay. Well, since we're not sure about that, then why don't we table acceptance of the minutes until our next meeting until we can get verification?
Okay.
So I will entertain a motion that we put this on to old business for next month and wait for verification on the minutes.
I'll make a motion to table the minutes till next month.
All right, we have a motion to table the minutes until next meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Sean, seconded by Lynn, to table the minutes until the next meeting. All right, at this point, before we go on to new business, since we are still... Thank you. All right, all those in favor of the motion on the table of tabling the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? All right, before we continue on to new business, since we still have a vacated slot, I would like to extend voting privileges for the evening to Lisa Carey. Do you accept?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, our next order of business is the review and to act upon the line item transfers that are being presented. First by, I would ask that the first selectman give us a breakdown, and then we can move forward.
Thank you. Did everybody get a copy of the list for the line item transfer?
No, I do.
This one? Yeah,
Ted, need one?
Yeah, the line item transfer.
All right, I can go through a few of these, starting from the top. We have a shortage in legal notices, as we do occasionally. So we're looking to do a transfer to cover that. We're coming from health insurance for $7,500. We have a realignment in planning and zoning Planning and zoning, the individual who was there before has left and gone to Putnam, so we have gone and done the internal posting for the position, and has been accepted and received for Ryan Bray to now be the town planner. And also moving that department in with another person to cover both positions for now, for the zoning officer in training, and then also taking the, doing the administrative work in that department. So we're going to be short with those monies, so that's why we're looking for $20,705 to cover the remainder of that.
How did we end up short? with
Because
that
we
one?
paid out that person to go out to leave.
In the union contract, you have to pay out your sick and vacation time. Whatever you accrued, it has to get paid out when you leave.
And that's coming out of the salary?
That is coming out of salary, yeah.
Doesn't come out of a line item of sick or education or anything like that?
We didn't budget for that because that was unexpected.
Okay. But that position hasn't received a raise or anything, right? It's the same,
I'm sorry, I can't quite hear you.
that current position is the same dollar amount as what the old,
Correct.
okay?
Yep. The next one is a very minor modification for tax review. They had additional meetings this year because of revals, so that's why it's $13 short. We're looking to take that from the assessor supplies. And then we were also short in the Department of Health because they overbilled us. They told us a certain number at the beginning of the year, and they overbilled us. So that's why we're looking to take the health insurance to cover that shortage of $863. The second portion of that, did you have a copy of this as well?
I have some notes for
Okay.
Can we do
Yeah.
one set at a time?
I'm sorry, what?
Can we do one set at a time?
Sure, whatever your pleasure would be.
Dean, is that possible to do one set at a time? How are you going to be on health insurance if you're pulling all this money out of there?
We're fine for right now. This year,
Our health insurance is self-funded, and right now, we don't have many big claims, so we're sitting good.
I just don't
in
want a
health
line
fund.
item transfer later to put money back into health insurance.
No, you're not gonna have to do that. No.
I have a question.
Yes.
Has this been already consummated?
as in,
Has it
gone to
paid
the Board of
for or
Selectmen has
done?
already approved this line item transfer, so that's why it's
Has
going to
it
be
been done
now.
yet? Have you paid somebody or transferred it or whatever? You've already done it?
No.
And now you're asking for our approval?
No,
Thank you.
no,
No, not for.
it's not done. The money's not transferred yet. That's what he's asking. He's asking if we already transferred
No,
money.
not yet.
No, we haven't transferred money.
Oh,
Board of Selectmen approved.
maybe I should talk to you.
Well,
How about the
yeah,
rest
I don't
of
think
the
he heard
list?
you,
How about
Don.
the rest of the list?
I don't think he heard you.
We're going to deal with that next. Let's do the
This
top
bottom
part
part, we're
first.
doing it, this bottom part, we're doing
Yeah,
next.
we should do it all at once.
No,
So,
they tell you it's
so
gotta
to
be broken out.
clarify,
The clarification is that the Board of Selectmen have approved a request to the Board of Finance to do the final line item transfers.
Right, but it's not.
So we have not expended the money yet until you say yes.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, are there any other questions about the first section? I wonder if you could give me a little bit more of a breakdown on the P and Z head. Is that all 20,000 going into that, or is it, how does that split again?
It's going right into the department head salaries.
That goes to the,
Yeah.
right to the department
Yeah,
head's
as
salary?
noted on the sheet, it's coming from health insurance and going right into that one line item. Yes.
This is a replacement of a position plus a supplement for additional assistance. So it's not all one salary, is that correct? Am I understanding that
It's
right?
like two
It's
salaries.
two salaries, okay. Do you have any type of breakdown for that?
Well, we have a sick payout, vacation payout, and then we have whatever the salary is, which is the
Okay.
current salary as noted in the budget. So that, the
So
difference
this
is
all
20,000.
paid out,
So the 20,000 is going to be the paid out vacation sick time.
all right,
Yes.
to this individual that has left?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so So is this a contractual obligation? that we
Yes.
have? Okay.
Yeah, union contract, supervisors.
Are there any other questions?
So that person had $20,000 in sick time and vacation time accrued?
Yeah, yes, yeah. I mean, I can break it down for you.
I mean, she wasn't a long-term employee.
They accrue quickly, so you accrue a sick day every month. So you have 12 sick days a year. If you don't ever use those, then it accumulates quickly. So then you get that times whatever your pay rate is, how many hours. I think in their union contracts, I think it's 90 days that you get a payout to for sick time. Other contracts are 60. Supervisors is 90. So, and if you didn't have vacation, like vacation time on the books too, you get paid out for that.
What is the timeframe on when this needs to be paid? They've already left.
I don't know, I'd have to look.
Any ideas?
Timeframe of when?
When this money has to be paid out?
Well, we have to put it into the budget so we can start continuing the payments of those,
Okay.
of that salary.
So you've already cut a check for that person that left out of the old department head?
Yes,
So now we're trying to replace that money back into that line item
yes,
to
for the
cover the new
salaries.
salary for
For the
the
end of
person
June.
filling in or replacing
Yes,
her.
yes, for the end of June,
You understand?
Yeah.
Better? Okay.
yes.
Are there any other questions? If not,
Why are we running so high on legal? Why are we up that high? What's going
Legal
on?
notices.
Yeah.
There's advertising in the papers that we have to put that if you have a lot of, like, planning, doesn't planning and zoning get posted there? Anything we have to publicize in the paper, that's where it gets posted.
Public hearings, that's-
Yeah,
Yes,
public hearings, town
yes.
meetings,
All of that
referendums,
has to
things
get
like that.
posted, and that's where it goes to.
An additional
It's not-
idea would be that we're going to be modifying that in next year's budget because two reasons. One, the newspaper's costs have gone way up. Two, the state of Connecticut's legislatures have not passed a bill yet which says you do not have to go to a local circulation like the Norwich Bulletin, which would save all the municipalities a lot of money. Because if you go to something like a turnpike buyer instead, or you're allowed, there actually is a bill out there allowing it to go just to electronic, those things will save you lots of money. So this is an item where it's crept up on us because the Norwich Bulletin is almost double their cost. So we will anticipate a modification in next year's budget and see what we can do with that.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the line item, the first batch of line item transfers for legal notice, planning and zoning department head, tax review, and Department of Health.
okay, we have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made by Sean and seconded by Gary. Any other additional discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion on the table of approving the line item transfers for legal notice, P&Z Department Head, Tax Review, and Department of Health, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The next item on our agenda is the police request for line item transfers for the evidence building and evidence foundation. And I believe we have a guest tonight, so Deputy Chief would please answer any questions, or maybe just fill us in a little bit so we can prompt some questions.
All right. So first and foremost, the chief apologizes for not being here tonight. He is in training currently. As you guys see, there are two requests for line item transfers. The first one is going to be out of the police salary line item. It's going to be in the amount of $28,219. This is for an overage for the foundation of our evidence storage building on the south side of our property that's being constructed. The transfer reasoning is to support the height and weight of the building of the foundation. It says it's being changed from a slab on the grade to a frost wall foundation with engineered stamps. I'm not an engineer, but these upgrades need to be made in order to bring it up to the proper code. Second line item transfer, amount of $26,091 in the overage for the building itself. What this entails is to reach the proper code, changing the roof insulation, wall insulation, banded roof and banded wall, add downspouts and gutters, and change the roof from PBR screwed to ultra deck standing seam. The original contract sum for the first item I spoke about was $114,133, and the add-on would be that 26 and change. And the original for the additional line item transfer was $24,970 with the add-on of the 28 to bring that up to code.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Who okayed to go ahead with the concrete before any of this was approved?
I can't point the fingers at who okayed the concrete. As far as where it came from, if it was the contractor with whoever was going out there inspecting it, I'm not sure. I can't speak to that.
I mean, there's only 2 signatures on the contract.
Yeah.
Who designed the bid, the bid package?
Who designed the bid package?
Yeah, for the original building.
For the original building? I would assume it was a building inspector at the town hall. What's your name? Kyle Collins?
And did the building change from the original bid spec?
Change for I'm assuming that's why this is the overages here. As far as the changing or not meeting the proper code, are you speaking of?
Well, I'm saying it was approved to be a certain size.
Oh, so we're jumping right to the 12 feet?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I just found out about that yesterday. Yeah, as far as if it changed from the build spec, it's 12 feet longer as of yesterday from what I was made aware of.
So with the additional length,
Yes.
is that what caused the reason for the overage in the building and the fact that we had to change the foundation style?
The improper specs, from my understanding, is the reason for the overages here for the build. The improper specs as far as the downspouts, gutters, so on and so forth.
The improper original specs?
Original specs.
Okay.
So shouldn't that have to go back to planning and zoning?
It's gonna have to,
Changes?
100%. I spoke with Kyle briefly yesterday. As far as that 12 feet, that definitely has to go back to planning and zoning. Because it's improper zoning, yeah.
What was approved?
Yeah.
Is that gonna add any extra then?
I can't speak to that right now. I know I spoke to Kyle and said we were gonna be presenting tonight, and I spoke to Mr. Cunningham. This all was dropped on us yesterday.
That's pretty much what the extra money in here is for the bigger building.
Just to add information into this, depending upon how you vote, it would still, even if you said yes to this, because of the, there's no monies in the budget this year for the actual shed to be modified, done anything, there's zero in there. This requires us to go to a town meeting, which would then adjourn to a referendum, because if you notice the grand total is $54,000. Town charter states that on section 25A, I think it is, anything between 10,000 and 50 is just a town meeting, but anything over 50,000 requires us then to go to a referendum.
So at this point, the foundation's in and done, right? So we already owe that contractor for that much money. The building's on site partially erected, so we owe them for that. What happens if we deny at the referendum?
I believe at that point, according to a state statute, that the individual who signed off on it would then be responsible and liable for the
That's in the
claim.
town charter. The town charter is if anyone goes above a line item budget, they're responsible for it. The town has a right to go civil action against them.
That's in relation to the state.
That's in the town charter. That's when people
Yeah,
should.
well, I'm just trying to make it known what's at stake here. I mean,
People
we can't
should-
just go changing specs
can't
and
change.
putting bigger than, we're approved for this, and then you're changing it to something totally different. It's kind of wrong for the voters.
Yeah. The only person that has the authorization to change a project is the board of selectmen.
And then I got a problem with the fact that we have the building official design the spec and then find out that it doesn't meet code.
Codes.
How do we fix this?
I gave him that suggestion a year ago, do a design build when it goes out to bid. That was my suggestion a year ago.
So how do we prevent it from happening going forward?
Change orders should never be just approved. Like, they have to be approved by the governing body, which is the board of selectmen. And then they come over to you guys for a line item transfer. It doesn't get done.
Okay, Mr. Selectman, how are we gonna fix this to stop this from happening?
Well, we have to keep better track of how specs go out, number one. Number two is when something comes back with a change order, we have to make sure that it's not something like we just found out, it was not in the budget. So we had to keep better controls of that. In this case, in this particular case, we have, there's multiple ways you can take action on it tonight. You can take no action on it. You can vote yes to it and let the public then vote for it. And have it at a town meeting to have someone explain what happened.
I just have a question. I don't think it has anything to do with financially, but why are we putting an extra 12 feet in?
That's an excellent question. The extra 12 feet was unbeknownst to us. It just didn't match what was originally spec'd out.
But I think Sean asked the question, the 12 feet, it doesn't change the code, right? That's not why
Well,
we're...
he wouldn't know that, that'd be the building official.
Yeah, the 12 feet's a whole, the items that I was speaking to as far as the line item transfers, the banner wall, the banner roof, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
to my knowledge, those are separate from this 12 feet that was discovered as far as yesterday.
So it would be the same whether we added the 12 feet or not.
Well,
That's
12 feet could change the spec for the building and the foundation.
what I'm saying. Is that why they're asking for the money?
I don't know. There's nobody here to answer that question, that's why I'm asking.
It's difficult to answer these questions, and I won't speak for other people. I would just say this. If we don't have the answers because we don't have the chief or the building inspector, Kyle Collins, here, I would consider you voting to table this into the next meeting, and that way you can get some answers.
Do you know if Kyle sought help from an engineer or
I
something?
can't answer that, I don't know.
Do we know what the original spec of the building was? Did the original spec have the proper insulation value?
I have the bid documents, there's nothing on there.
There's nothing on it for insulation?
As far as drawing and stuff, I mean, they got a paragraph, but I should have brought it with me. I haven't.
I'd like to see the original bid spec, whatever we were,
Yeah,
and then what the contractor proposed to do.
Yep. Yeah, you should have that.
I mean, I was reading somewhere here that you have to increase the insulation because it doesn't meet code. How would Kyle write, how could anybody write a bid or a spec to be built by and not have the proper insulation? Did we change the use of the building? Because I mean, I remember this thing coming to referendum years ago.
It's 100,000.
Originally, the first time I heard this was going to be a cold storage building for evidence.
Correct.
And now I'm understanding we're storing trucks in there, and there's going to be a mechanic working out of there. Did that change the building use?
No.
The reason?
So I'm not sure who said the mechanic was working on it, that's false.
Okay.
It's still, no matter what, since the beginning, it will store our mobile command unit.
Okay.
We'll store a mobile command unit, which is just basically the crime scene, big
Okay.
crime scene apparatus.
Right.
Other than that, nothing else will be stored in there as far as vehicles. The use is maintained the same. The only time a vehicle will be stored in there is if we seize one in conjunction with a search warrant or a fatal accident or something of that nature where we would hold it to process. We would store it in there to keep it the same for it doesn't get hurt by the elements. And once we're done processing it, then we would put it out in the impounding yard in the
So there'll
back.
be no other future use for this building?
As of right now, no other future uses, mobile command and the storage of any type of big ticket evidence items for processing.
I'd like to see the specs that was designed. I'd
I
like
have
to
a
see.
couple questions.
Because I've heard rumors that there was going to be a bathroom facility in this building. Is that true or no?
No. Let me know if you hear my office is gonna be in there.
I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, I don't know,
asking. This is
I don't
what I'm
know.
hearing.
Yeah, no, I'm not, and I'm not poking fun at it, but it's definitely the mobile command, evidence processing, no mechanic's still operating out of the garage, the two-bay garage. As far as the bathroom, definitely no bathroom.
The chief mentioned to me when I met him one day, he wanted to put a bathroom in there. Yeah, before.
Yeah.
When the project first.
Yeah.
Came to
Unfortunately,
be.
Everyone has dreams, you know.
unfortunately, a lot of the people that can answer the questions we have are not here.
So like, subpoena them here, you know.
Well, we can send an invitation, you know, we can send an invitation and a request, which is why I'm making some notes. I mean, there's a bunch of questions going on. The first question I have, is work still happening now?
They were there last week. I have not seen them there this week.
Okay, my suggestion would be that it stops.
Well,
You know, the other thing is there's people signing off on some of this stuff that aren't here to answer questions that need to be answered. It seems to me there's a lot of rumors going on about what's involved here. and we need to have some facts, you know. It may sound silly, but if somebody's talking about a bathroom, that implies additional plumbing requirements,
Yes.
you know. But that goes without, but there may be plumbing requirements that we're not aware of. You know, if you have a vehicle that's being seized and you need to clean it out for whatever reason, there may be some plumbing requirements for that. I don't know. I'm not a building guy, but I do know that we've had, people have been involved in the process along the way, and they're not here to answer some questions. And right now, I'm hearing that the chief knows more about what's going on. There's a building inspector involved, and then somebody has signed off on some other things, and those people need to be here to answer our questions.
So what was originally approved for this building? dollar-wise?
100,000. 100,000, and then we did a line item transfer at the end of last year, another about 60,000, I want to say.
So they had 160,000 to spend on this building?
Yes, plus the change order, you're up to 202, 202,000.
So we're talking about a 40%, almost a 40% increase overrun on what this building was going to cost us.
100.
40% increase is what I'm saying. Because I'm looking at the numbers that was just quoted, and it was 114 and 24, so that's 138, 139, and now we're looking for an additional 55. So there's some other numbers in here that I'm not
Yeah,
aware of.
Archer survey, and you have to get the property
Okay.
surveyed, so that's on there too.
So we're almost up, to your point, we're almost doubling our cost now.
Archer survey was like 10,025.
Well,
Dean, if I could add one more thing. I'm pretty sure in next year's budget, the request from the police department was $38,000 additional for the shed because they wanted to put insulation in, additional insulation.
Yes, additional on next year's budget was put in.
Well, if it's just a storage building, why do we need all this insulation?
Yeah.
if you're storing evidence, sometimes evidence is liquids.
Well, as far as
Right.
depending on the liquids, are you saying? No, not really. It wouldn't be a liquids that we would store out there. Anything liquid is usually dangerous, so we wouldn't store it in any facility like that. We would turn it over. But as far as the insulation of the building, I can't comment on it as far as that.
I would think the insulation, like in the 90-degree day in the summer, would keep it
Yeah,
more.
obviously the maintenance of the equipment, the mobile command in there. Sometimes we go out there, -degree nights, start it up, doesn't start up, doesn't kick on, so on and so forth. You know, but obviously, and then in the summer, maintaining that temperature too. But
So it's my understanding that that little room you had downstairs with everything stuffed in it, you're gonna replace it with this shed outside that we approved last year.
no,
It's
no.
an evidence building, correct?
No, yeah, so once again, ladies and gentlemen, so we have an evidence room downstairs in the PD. The evidence room downstairs in the PD, the big ticket items, money, guns, drugs, and then any type of evidence seized that is smaller in nature, clothing, so on and so forth, is down there. What will be stored temporarily out there as evidence would be what we seize and taken at that moment. So stolen cars for processing, fatal car crashes, anything like that that's going to be processed. By process, I mean taking pictures, DNA swabs, something that we need to take that out of the elements and hold it until we get a search warrant to move forward with the processing. Once it's done processing, that item would be moved out into the impound, or we have a Connex box that is secured behind the PD if it is a bigger item such as a dirt bike or something of that nature. Then that bay would still remain open for the next item to come in and then be processed.
That's not one bay, that's like multiple bays.
There's two bays. The other bay will have the mobile command in it.
And when did we decide that we needed an extra 12 feet? How did that come about?
He doesn't know.
Yeah, no, the extra 12 feet, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't know if that's a mistake on whoever's end or if that's just,
So do you need a motion to get these people here, Dean? or-
No.
No, we don't need a motion to get them here.
Okay.
I have a
Yes.
question on,
Kevin,
Just for clarifications, the change orders that we have in our possession right now, I did not sign them because I'm waiting for the follow-through as we go forward. If it was your pleasure to vote yes, then of course the money will be allocated and I can sign off on it. But now that we realize we have to go to a town meeting, I won't even sign off on it until we get final approval from the public anyway.
and when does it have to go back to planning and zoning?
We'll have to plug it on the next meeting.
That doesn't affect us.
I would say,
We're trying to get to.
table this until we get the people here. We you want to talk to.
The only thing I want to bring up is, you mentioned stop work. I don't think a stop work should happen if they, unless they've expended all the money that they've already been given, 160,000. I would say if they hit 160,000, that's when the stop work has to stop.
Good point. I'm guessing you don't know the answer to that.
Probably.
As far as if the money's been all expended?
I have to tell you, no. Because I don't think the roof's on that building yet, is it?
160,000, we have spent 118 so far.
So they still have, they can get the roof on it,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I know they were just moving into another phase of the project because they just got the walls up and then they were working on additional
We
items.
have another purchase order, but it can't go over 160, yeah.
Right,
It
that's
can't
all
pay
you got.
anything more on the foundation, because the foundation is already done.
So I
already
don't
paid
think
that,
a
nothing
stop
can be
work is
paid on that.
necessarily, I would say do not exceed 160 at this point. That's my thought.
No, I agree with that. I just, I think I speak for the board when I'm a little frustrated with how this process is unfolding. You know, we've got work going on that there needs to be another level, a higher level of accountability. You know, we're changing the specs, you know, and there's not any information coming forward because there's more costs being incurred, and it's kind of getting thrown at us at the last minute, and it's not,
It's not a $5,000 jump, it's 55.
No, yeah, $55,000.
And that doesn't sound like it's all, because it sounds like there's 38,000 going into next year's budget for insulation, is what I was just heard.
So I would entertain a motion that we table this until next meeting, and I will send out.
You already have a motion, Sean made a motion.
No, I did not know.
Okay, you said that would be my motion,
What?
to do a, pay up to 160.
Oh, okay, all right.
With no stop order?
Right,
Okay.
my motion is to allow them to continue until they have 160,000, and then they have to obviously stop because there's no more money to spend.
Okay.
And table this until next month's meeting, when we can have people that can answer our questions here. I would like information on the spec for the building, what was sent out for bid, and I'd like to see the bid, so we can see what the difference was, and then maybe somebody has to get to explain why they spec the building the way they did, that doesn't meet code.
That's a long motion.
I'm sorry.
If I can repeat it back, maybe.
Yes.
Okay. Allowed to pay up to $160,000 with no stop order until that 160 is met, and then table until the next meeting, we can get answers from other staff or other members here.
Correct, that's right.
All right, so Sean has made a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, Lynn has seconded it.
I have a question on that.
Yes, sir.
What if the referendum disapproves this? We're spending money for nothing.
We're not spending any money.
It's not going to work.
No,
Why?
we're not
What are we
going to
gonna get?
referendum.
A building that we can't use because it's not going to be complete.
That's a good point.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
And we just need
It's
explanations.
going to be too late after you spend the money.
The money's already spent, the building's up. The roof panels are on top of there waiting to be spread out. We still got a little bit of money left in there.
So
Get
why-
the roof on and get it weather tight.
Why even make the motion that 160 must be already spent?
No, she said we still have more.
Okay, so we're going to spend more.
And we
We've
have
got
another
119,
purchase order.
which they've already spent. They
So
were
we're almost
approved for
there, I
160.
think.
I agree.
Like,
But we're going to spend more money not knowing if
Like what I
the
have,
referendum
yes.
is going to approve it. And we'll be spending money for nothing.
But we still have to seal the building, or
No, we don't.
get the roof on it.
We don't have to do nothing because the building may never be built.
The building's there and up.
It's all complete.
If the building is there, it just, they gotta put the panels on it, on the roof.
Yeah, they just got to finish it. What we're trying to do is, I believe we should have the stop order right now. Why spend more money if we don't know the public's going to approve it?
I agree.
It would be
There's a
better.
motion on the floor.
We currently have a motion on the floor that we
And it's
allowed,
first and second.
and it's been seconded, to allow the process to continue with the maximum expenditure of $160,000, and at that point, we stop. In the meantime, these line item transfers are going to be tabled until our next meeting, until we can get the chief, the building inspector, and whoever else has been involved in this process here to answer our questions.
Call the vote.
All right, so we have the motion on the table. All right, we have it seconded. All those in favor of allowing the process to continue up to the 60,000 and then table the rest of the line item transfers until our next meeting? All those in favor signify by saying, no. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All right, all those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion
I
passes.
didn't see Ted.
He's an alternate.
He's an alternate tonight.
Oh, okay, sorry, I apologize. Thank you.
All right. So the next question is, what other individual do we need to invite to our next meeting besides the chief and the building inspector? Anybody give me an answer on that?
You want the contractor?
Good.
Do you want the contractor here to find about the purchase order, the change order?
I think
that
anybody
idea.
that's been involved in the process has put their name on this.
There's no name on it.
Oh, that's good.
So,
I got the packet.
So
of the
there's no-
purchase or- I got the packet of purchase orders in December. I start looking through. I see change orders. I look, there's no signature on the change orders. It was just processed to me to just pay it. And I said, I'm not paying it. And that's how this evolved.
Okay. Well, then somebody needs.
so nobody approved the change orders.
No, no signatures. There's
So we
nothing on it.
technically don't need to pay this guy.
Technically, yeah, absolutely.
That's why I was like, you need the contractor to find
I was like,
out how that happened.
I'd like to continue on.
I can reach out to the contractor to ask him to be here, though. I could also answer the question of why it was 12 feet bigger.
All right. Moving on. Next order of business is the review of the town financial report.
Do you want me to talk about any of the revenue right now, like, so you guys be aware? The education cost share money, the additional 6 million did come in, it's just not posted yet.
Okay.
So you're gonna see that in the next statement.
We're doing pretty good on pool rentals.
Pool rentals, those are birthday parties. The pool
It's in our
rentals.
favors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're above what we estimated for revenue, yes.
I get a question. Does the recreation department put any revenue in here other than the pool rental?
No.
All those programs that they run, they
The
don't
summer
make anything off
recs.
them?
Yeah, so that's a hot item that we have with the recreation director. He puts it into a receivable account and then has expenditures coming out of it, instead of disclosing it in the financial statement.
Why aren't we just, shouldn't that be disclosed in the financial statement?
We used to disclose it in the financial statement, yes.
So
Yes.
you're telling me that he's basically creating his own little slush fund over there to spend at will?
To a degree, we monitor what expenditures come out of there, but it's a battle. I'll say it's a battle, and it would be easier if we just have a revenue and expenditure.
How do we stop it?
We invite you to a
You
meeting.
do it in the next budget, you can do that. You know,
Why
like,
can't we
when
do
you
it
guys
now?
discuss it.
It's not his money.
Get him
No,
in
no,
next
it's
meeting
not,
too.
he's not just, it has to use it for recreation items. So summer camp money comes in, the buses get paid out of that, et cetera, aerobics, that type of stuff gets paid out of there.
But we
It's not just.
create a budget that we pay for out of tax dollars. He's generating money off of these programs he's running with our tax dollars,
To create more programs.
which should come back to the town
And
to
the
help pay for bills for his programs and other stuff, not create new extra things.
Yes. Yes. Because of the pool, the.
So can that,
pool
be-
receivable,
can we
correct?
figure out a way to
Pool
straighten that
receivable.
out? Is there something to
Is
make
that what
it
you're talking
better?
about?
I just remember having the same conversation last year.
Would
I
the
know.
Board of Finance like to make a motion that we put it in starting now? We could do that.
I would like to start seeing it as soon as possible, you know.
Make a
I'd like to
motion.
know what type of
We
money is
follow
there.
your lead. If you say that you want to have it in, go ahead.
Why don't we let the recreation director come in and talk to us about it? he may convince us that he's doing all right. I'd like to hear from the guy that's running the program.
But it's open, it's supposed to be, this is all government money, basically.
I
should
don't
be
know
just-
that.
you
I
should-
want to hear from him. Let him
I
tell
think
me.
we should hear from the record. Give him his
Well,
chance.
Let him defend himself on the program.
we're basically supposed to manage the money, not
Right,
him.
right. See,
So, end of story.
We pay a finance director to handle the books, not a rec director to handle the books. All accounts should be running through the finance director. And what's the point of having a budget if we're just gonna put the money in this little pocket over here and buy what we want anyways?
It would make my life easier, yes.
And none of the salaries for, like, the director of rec or any of the other, they don't come out of that fund that he gets.
No.
Mark's salary is budgeted,
Budgeted,
his assistants is
Budgeted,
budgeted,
and
the
the pool
pool
coordinator is
director is
budgeted.
budgeted, they're all in here.
What about when they hire summer staff and stuff like that, people who run programs,
Summer staff is coming out of 1123, the receivable account.
which is the one he maintains?
Yes. He doesn't maintain it. It's a receivable account, so the revenue comes in, expenditures come out of it. It would be easier if there's revenue and expenditure in the budget.
I'd like to start seeing the numbers on that. We'll start with
Yeah,
that.
I can do
Maybe
that.
maybe we should consider having a discussion with him in the future. I make a motion that we add those things to our statement of receivables.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion on the table to add the receivables account onto the monthly statement. Motion's been made by Sean, seconded by Gary.
Wait a minute, I just want to understand what it.
I want to see the money he's bringing in.
Right.
And-
So does that mean it's going to go back in the budget when we vote on this year's budget? Or you just want to?
We got to figure out what's there first, and then we can have a discussion further on.
Okay, so we're just voting on that we want.
Putting in this, we can see.
It'd be in the revenues, right?
Okay.
It's revenue section,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. What I would advise to do, if you guys want to do that, do it for next year's budget, have revenue and expenditure, because it's a receivable account, so it's going to roll over. It's going to roll into the next year.
But can we start seeing it next month so we know what
Yeah,
type of money we're
yeah.
talking about here?
Yes, yes. Yep.
I'd like to
I
see
can
it.
email it out to you.
I think it should be a permanent thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Any monies coming into the town should be on our budgets, receivables.
Yeah, we need to add then like special duty, police special duty too. That's run like that too. So you should be able to see the money.
Well, I've got
coming
a
in.
special duty right here on the local revenues.
That is,
It's budgeted for
at the end of
85.
at the end of the year, I would post what the revenue is for that line item, based on what's receivables left. And then I would post it as a revenue. Right now, you don't see how much payroll is for the special duty and then the revenue. You should see that. We could build that in here too. It just was never done prior to my time.
It should be built in.
We should, yes.
It's government money,
I can do
basically.
that.
It's the
Yeah.
taxpayers' money, not
Yes.
theirs.
Hang on, I think we still have a motion on the floor.
I'm sorry.
No, I asked the question and we got off track, but
All right, so the motion on the table is to begin posting the receivable accounts on the monthly statement.
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
Seconded, Gary seconded it. All right. Thank you, Linda, for that point of order. All right, so we have a motion on the table. We've already had the additional discussion. All those in favor of the motion on the table to include the receivable accounts from the rec department on a ongoing basis, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right, that motion carries. Thank you.
Under town contributions, can you tell me what the salary soldiers is?
Salaried soldiers is a gentleman that comes in here and sits. the
Veteran
lot.
service officer?
What'd you just say?
Veteran service officer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that changed from soldiers, sailors, and Marines fund? Is that what that what we did? Why did we make that change?
I think this is the wording we've always used.
Yeah.
Correct?
What's that?
It's the wording that's always been used.
It is? You have last year's budget?
No, not with.
I believe it was soldiers and sailors fund. Last year,
Okay.
it just happened, one of the guys asked me what that was and how we could use it. And when I came down here, I find out it's been changed. I wasn't paying attention last year.
What's it called?
Right now,
Yeah,
sailors, soldiers, under
Well,
town
salary
contribution.
soldiers.
salary soldiers.
They used to be sailors, yeah.
Okay.
That used to be some kind of a fund where veterans could go and get money, I guess. I was trying to find out what it was, because a couple of the guys asked me.
Maybe it was a typo?
It was, yeah, I can fix that. But, what it is, a gentleman sits out front and anyone that is a veteran can come and he'll try to assist them into programs.
Yeah.
So we pay him every month so much money to come sit out front. So it's a service for veterans.
But why was it, how did we pay that job before when it was soldiers, sailors fund?
It's the same thing, it was paid the same way. It was,
Oh, okay.
Ida Collins'
All right.
Vern
uncle.
Collins used to do it.
Uncle Collins, last name was Collins, Vern Collins. Yeah, he was here and he would sit out front and we'd pay him every month, for programs for
Yeah,
veterans.
okay, all right.
Yeah, it's the same fund.
That's
So they
okay.
just accidentally
All right,
changed
it.
That answers it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
we've kind of skipped ahead. Let's look at page 1.
Yeah.
Looking at these numbers, our revenues on local revenues are pretty healthy.
Yep.
Do we anticipate any type of major changes in this? Because it looks like we're going to end up with a head.
As long as everything comes in, yes.
Okay. So I have no further questions on page 1. Does anybody have any questions on page 2? All right.
Police phones, are they happening?
Police phones, yes. Kyle was working on them this week, transitioning them over to the new system.
Under appropriations?
I think he's meeting with the person installing them. They've verified all the dead lines. We had a few dead lines in there. So they're getting rid of those, and they should be doing the install in the next couple of weeks.
We approved all the extensions and everything like that, so it should be moving forward to install at this point.
Are we gonna be on budget with that one?
With the phone system, let's hope. Let's hope. As far as everything's been moving slowly in the right direction, we're going on that, but
No change orders, right?
no. No 12-feet extensions, nothing of that nature.
All right, any other questions on page 2? On page 3, I noticed that under highway, there's no change in the motor fuel. Is that because of a billing cycle or something? or-
Highway?
Yeah, highway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, highway department can pay for the motor fuel out of town aid road.
Okay.
So it can be posted there too.
All right. And under sand and gravel, we had a nice little jump because of the storm, but we're still way under budget on
They
that.
had a bulk left over from last year, so
Okay.
we still order it, but it's not as needed as prior years, because we had such a surplus.
And I'm assuming the jump in overtime was because of the recent storms?
Yep.
On
It's
building
flooded.
and ground, do they have a vehicle?
Buildings and grounds have 2 vehicles.
How come we have nothing, no line item here for the vehicles? All the other departments that has a vehicle has a line item for vehicle.
We can do that,
expenses.
so if he uses anything for vehicle, he just takes it out of his supply and expense. But if you want a vehicle line item.
It should be
you add
broken
one.
down. You've done it on all the other departments.
Yeah.
It should be done the same.
So, okay. We can add that for next year's budget, I can't add it for this year.
Yep.
All right.
On the town clerk's office, I know we talked about it before.
Yep.
How much are we saving with one less person in there?
I don't remember the number.
Plus, there'd be partial savings with the planner gone too, right?
Yes.
Or whatever, how that salary's gonna be switched
Yeah,
around.
I would say about 20,000? I don't
Around
know,
20
I'm estimating.
for this year.
I don't know it off top.
Yeah.
I would say like 20,000 for each department.
Oh, for salaries?
Yeah.
Not including Benny's, all right.
No. Benefits are, you wouldn't like, we're self-funded for health insurance.
Right, I remember you mentioned
So,
single, married,
yeah,
family,
so
whatever.
We're self-funded for health insurance, so there's a cost associated if you're single, two-person or family. But saying we're self-funded, we have a stop loss, so we're liable for anything, I think up to $150,000 per person. So then our stop loss kicks in. So I am, even though, like, say the cost of health insurance for our family is $30,000, the town is still liable up to $150,000 because you're self-insured. And then stop loss will kick in and cover the rest. standard number based on the number of people. It doesn't really fluctuate. You won't see it fluctuate much unless that fund is getting depleted, meaning large claims. And we do analysis of it every year to estimate if we need to drop more money in there per budget.
Any other questions on page 3? All right, on page 4, the dispatch salaries jumped 20% last month.
20% for dispatch salaries?
Yeah.
Yep, so we're training one dispatcher right now currently. We have Dawn Kolick has been assisting the administrative assistant in the transition into her new role. Now Dawn will be added back into the schedule as a rotating dispatcher for the part-timers on the weekends. And we should be up to 5 part-time dispatchers if this female on the desk works out. She's been on it we've been training her for, I want to say about half of her training cycle, and it's headed in the right direction.
How many full-times do you have?
3 full-time dispatchers.
Somewhere I found out, I heard that you're gonna have 7 part-timers.
7 part-timers. We usually run a stable between 5 and 7 part-timers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it fluctuates depending on their schedules. Right now, the part-timers like working 2 shifts. So day shift will be the first one to get split up once Dawn goes back to the rotation. And then midnight shift usually is the second one that gets split up. And then the third one will be the evening shift, and that's for consistency on evening shift since it's the busiest shift on the weekends.
I notice overtime is down to 17%. Is that going to be a problem toward the end of the year?
That is going to be a problem toward the end of the year. As of right now, Officer Pacheco has transferred up from Norwich, and he is on his own, which has helped. Officer Trahan is going to be going on his own off-of-field training April 1st, which is going to help. Officer Wright is happily having a baby, so she has been taken off the road. So she will not be into the patrol minimum at this point. We are looking to hire 3. We have a hiring process currently going on now. They passed the physical agility, which is a good sign, 6 of them, which is the highest in a long time. They have passed the oral board, which I believe now we've gotten it down to 5 because 1 got hired in Putnam or is looking to be hired in Putnam, so he withdrew. So we're going to be hopefully sending 3 to 4 to polygraphs and psychological examinations, but then they would have to, again, go through the academy. So our biggest savior will be Officer Trahan getting off FTO and being a direct contributor to the staffing.
So you mentioned on the staffing, you took somebody from Norwich.
Yes,
Did we have to pay them for his training? Did we have to pay out for him?
yes, we did.
Where does that come out of?
That would come out of the police salaries, I believe you took it out, correct?
What's that, 35,000?
I can't recall what it was at that point. It wasn't that much because he was towards that 2-3 year limit, where it was less money for him to transfer up.
Yeah, prorates.
Yeah, so it drops as it goes, depending on who does the math down in Norwich, but.
How many do you need to be at full staff?
So we're budgeted for 21 at full staff right now, so we would need 3 more. We currently have 18, which counts recruit Keeney that's in the academy right now.
I noticed that uniform expense jumped $7,000 last month. Is that for new officers or?
Uniform expense, yeah, so the bulletproof vests, so on and so forth. With that, we also had some officers who had damaged equipment.
All right. Any other questions on page 4? All right, let's move on to page 5. We only have one comment. Pool contracts are not doing too well.
Yeah, I would have to ask Mark, recreation, but yeah, we don't have any, I guess, payments right now.
What was that?
We don't pool contracts. I
What are
said,
they?
Mark, he said, why is there's a low
No,
number there?
what are the pool contracts?
I don't know them off top. Yeah, I don't know the pool contracts off top.
Is it like people contracting to use the pool?
No.
Or is it contracts to maintain the pool?
Maintain the pool. Maintain it.
Under economic development, what does salary EDC grant mean?
That is economic development grant writer / grant writer. The grant writer in economic is one person.
Oh,
So they do two
Okay, so
positions.
that's his
Yeah.
job or her job.
Yeah.
And we have one now?
Yes, we do have one now.
How many positions do we have open? Or do-
Here at the town hall,
Working for the town.
Building inspector.
Yeah. So you've asked a question about open positions in the town hall. We've always been looking for a building inspector full-time. Currently, we have 3 people that work part-time. And the reason we have part-time people, because there's probably about 80 towns that are looking for a building inspector full-time. Can't find one because of a couple of reasons. You have to have 5 years in the trades, and you have to pass a test for the state of Connecticut. It's not a young man's game, so to speak, because most of those people who are contractors are making much more money than they would working that position. So to get someone to come in now, you find someone towards the end of their work cycle, so to speak, a roofer who might have been in the trade for years is starting to physically break down. They may think that I'll go for this position instead. It's still hard to find them. There's 80 towns looking for them, can't find them. So what we do now is we contract with 2 employees, and they are working to help us to do the building inspections, anything like we normally do. And we're still looking for them. We'll try to find them.
Any other questions on 5? Page 6. How are we going to be with the phone?
The what?
Page 6, town general, the phone expense. Are we going to be over budget on that by the end of the year?
Yeah, did that contract went up, what happened with the telephones at the beginning of the year? Something happened with it.
That was also a combination of the new physical phones we're getting in. But yeah, there was a change in the cost for that, so they did go up a little bit. We anticipate, though, that you'll see that there was a line for, just like the police have a new phones coming in, we also will be having new phones coming in. I think there was a line in here for 11,000.
Yeah, there is,
Yeah,
in the back,
on the next page.
Under capital, right?
yes.
It says
It's under
telephone capital is
yeah.
10, 62, 15, 52.
Yes.
That'll cover the payment for those other phones coming in.
This one kind of confused me. Under computers, last month's number was quite different.
Yes, it was. It was a
What-
journal entry that was done because Protocol Networks is a subcontractor that the town and the police department use. The
Right.
police had so much budgeted for the Protocol Networks, and the town was absorbing all the costs. So I did a reclass to put some back into the budget of the police department and then the town.
Okay.
Can I go back to police salaries? Mr. Chairman? May I go back to police salaries?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Are we, under salaries, do we anticipate 21 guys or just what's there?
We're hoping by probably a month from now, we're hoping to sign on 3 more officers, month and a half or so.
Okay, so you
Which would get
budgeted
us
for
up to the
those?
21, which is budgeted, yes.
You budgeted for 21 now?
21 for the, yep.
Okay, thank you.
But they're taking a bunch of money out of that for the next
Okay.
one.
Can I ask for clarification, just so you can help me out?
Yeah.
Of the 21, it's chief and yourself and the lieutenant. Added into that 21 total?
Yes, yep. So chief, myself, and the lieutenant are in that 21 total.
And then you'll see the line item, while they've lost a director, they've also losing staff. So I'm not happy with 12 to 15% of the restaurants being checked every year. Same thing with hairdressers. It's not doing the town of Plainfield any good to do that, so that's why I want to go to office. That's the update I would give you.
How many people do they need, did they say?
They probably need another 2 more staff down there, so they'd have to look during the year, and I'm gonna make sure that I press upon them that they're doing that. Matter of fact, the person who's temporarily covering over at NEDH is a director of Umpus.
I have a question on the capital. The police 2 Tahoes, those are purchased and done, correct?
Correct.
Was one of those the ones that was totaled?
The newest patrol Tahoe, so not the two that were used as the administrative vehicles.
Okay.
So the last previous one that was pursuit rated was the one that was totaled. Approximately 14,000 miles on it.
So what are we gonna do to replace that vehicle? Will insurance cover it?
The insurance gave us 55,000 to, you know, the cost of it. The value of it as of now
What's that
is
vehicle gonna cost to
55,000.
replace?
Excuse me?
What's that vehicle gonna cost to replace?
I don't know. I don't know. So last time when we
Is
purchased,
that going into the budget, or does that end up as will that have to be in next year's budget, or will that be a replacement because it was an accident?
you could use it as a replacement. But I don't remember the bid price of a Tahoe. Maybe 50,000 when we got our bid, but it doesn't mean it's gonna be 50,000.
It's not just the price of the vehicle, it's also to put everything back in. Now, that vehicle had equipment taken out of it, which can be put back in, but there's a
Yes.
cost associated with that as well.
Yep.
So we're hoping that the insurance will end up being a wash close to, or
That's,
About right.
that's what I would hope for, but
with whatever our
the
deductible is.
vehicle equipment, the invoices that I received, I don't think they're covering the decal and all of that. They're not gonna cover that.
No, yeah, there's some items that they're not gonna cover, like the decal. As far as the actual, we're hoping it's gonna be close to a wash. A lot of the equipment was salvageable. As far as the lights inside, it was mostly the front end that was damaged, and the radios, so on and so forth with it. So we're hoping as far as the actual outfitting of it, we're gonna be looking good, hopefully. Hopefully. So depending on how much the tiles have gone up.
And I'm assuming the cages and all that, or cages in the back can be reused, hopefully?
Oh, yeah, all the cage and everything like that, yep. Chenille has taken everything out of it that he can and reused it, along with a lot of the wiring, and that way it will be simpler to put back into a new vehicle.
Is everything taken out of it already?
He's still finishing, he got the decals off yesterday,
So-
and then most of the equipment is already taken out.
Do you know when it'll be done? Because that insurance can pick it up.
Yes, I would say next week, we're ready for the beginning of next week.
The recreation vehicle, the automobile, is that being looked at for a new one?
We are actually, I got some very good news on that one the other day. That is acquired by way of a 5310 grant. For those who have gone along this journey for a couple of years now, we put an application in 3 years ago for a 5310 vehicle to replace the one we have. That one obviously was in an accident, was totaled. We have some monies available from that from the insurance company. We anticipated, by the way, the initial cost was like $71,000 for a vehicle 3 years ago.
Is that the van or the bus?
The travel van.
Okay, I'm talking about the automobile as
Yeah.
a car.
And the automobile we're looking to replace as well, but the cost for that is exorbitant, and we don't have the monies available right now. I think he's looking between $60,000 and $70,000 for another vehicle. He wanted to get a van instead, and I really don't approve of that.
I'm not sure if I can understand what you're saying, but I'm talking about just the car. The
That's
cars,
what I'm
you can
talking
buy
about.
a car for 35.
Absolutely. And then the recreation head came to us and talked about, instead of getting another vehicle, another car, he wants to get a similar to a 5310, a van. And I'm not approving that. I think that's just too much money for a vehicle to transport people. Seeing as though we just found out the other day that instead of waiting until April to get that other 5310 bigger van, well, we should be getting it probably in about 3 weeks.
Sounds like there's a lot of things happening in recreation.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Mr. Simmons will get an invitation to next month's meeting.
Under debt interest, I assume these are bonds, and
Yes.
what's the maturity date of those two? You've got WPCA and then
So WPCA was a 20-year bond. What was that? That was maybe more than 5 years ago. I can look it up and give you the exact dates. I can email it to you.
and
right
what
now.
about the Millbrook/high school bond? What's the date on that?
That is going to be,
26, isn't it?
that's like 2 years, I want to
Yeah,
say.
26.
That'll be expiring like 2 years, 2026. Yep.
one more full year, roughly this price, and then the final year, I think Kelly was maybe 300 and something thousand for that final.
Let me look it up. and I'll
Okay.
tell you. Yeah.
Dean, could that be something that they can add right next to that line item, what the maturity date is?
I can't do that because our software only allows so many spaces
Okay.
over here, so that limits me. Eventually, we'll get new software, and I probably can do that, but
Yeah.
this is
It's
like
just
the
kind
old
of, it'd be
system.
nice to look and say, okay, that's gonna come off in 26.
Oh, yeah, definitely, but like I'm a lot, it's only so wide.
Okay.
Any other questions on page 7? I will entertain a motion that we accept the financial report from the town as presented.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion to accept the presentation from the town as presented by John. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Sean. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion on the table, accepting the financial presentation from the town, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay, next on our agenda is I'll introduce the superintendent, Paul Rudd. If you would mind giving us a brief financial report for us. Talk about it.
Thank you, everyone. Mr. Richards is normally here. We have a board meeting taking place right now because of the adjusted schedule. So my assistant superintendent, Mr. Sugarman, is running that. I'm here. Mr. Richards is there. I'm hoping to make it back for executive session. Speaking to the financial report, a few different items. Right now, it looks as though we're high in salaries. We have 12 open positions. Teaching positions in Plainfield schools. We have more than 12 non-certified. We are very short on bus parents, individuals who ride the bus and help those students on the bus. You'll notice that our substitute line is going to run over because we anticipate that piece. You'll notice a significant change in tuitions from this report to the last report. That's not a cause for concern. It has to do with how the magnet schools and special ed programs do with the billing cycles. We had to receive the building cycles. We hadn't encumbered the money. We're encumbering that money at this point, but remember within our budget we have educational cost sharing that's going to be offsetting some of those pieces. When we take a look at where we are in the budget, I think we're being fiscally responsible, expending grant funds first and waiting to expend local funds after those pieces. We've had several significant capital expenses this year that we didn't anticipate. We've addressed those through our local funds. One of those projects we spoke of 2 meetings ago. On the 22nd, the crane will be outside Shepherd Hill Elementary, putting the heater on the roof, and all the Shepherd Hill parents have already gotten maps of how traffic will be redirected and all of those pieces and how that will impact the day up at the school. In addition to that, we did, in partnering with the town, bring out Salamone and Associates to do a full study on the generator. That study is on our website that we've taken a look at. That study ran a little over $3,000. There is a request going to the Board of Ed to have a 2% set-aside account pay for the study. The result of the study is, as I've discussed with the First Selectman and the Capital Improvement Committee, some of what we expected. The generator is original to the building. It's 20 years old. It is functioning perfectly. It is maintained perfectly. It was never designed to be able to run the kitchen freezers. That was never part of the original design. That was never part of the load. It was designed to run the parts of the building that need to operate in the case of an emergency. The Salamone and Associates report provides information on what it would cost to either add an auxiliary panel or an additional generator, were there a desire to have the kitchen freezers, which was the request that we were asked to look into by the town, powered. They've estimated that at about $150,000 for a panel or $300,000 for a new generator. Again, it functions as it was designed, which is to keep the building open in case of a power outage.
What was the reason that we started looking at the generator for the freezers? Why?
Last year, in fact, during the budget process, a request came to us that said, Plainfield High School, for those who don't know, is the regional community emergency shelter. And the last time it was used as a regional shelter, we had to actually take all of the food out of the freezers because, and I don't know the date, Kelly or Kevin, it was 2009, 2012.
12, I think.
12, because the power outages at that time in Plainfield were over 3 days, and we had to take it out. So someone had said, can we investigate whether or not an ancillary panel could be added that would shift and then power just the freezers and shut the other pieces off, sort of switching back and forth. There was never a thought that it could do it all. We didn't want to make that decision. We needed to bring in an engineering group to do it. We brought in one group to do it. They didn't feel comfortable. Someone in the town recommended Salmo. I reached out to Kevin. I asked Kevin if they'd been reliable. He said they'd done great work. It's a good report, and it's up on our website with all the facility study reports.
So is that going to be in your capital budget for next year?
I have not asked $300,000 to put a generator on the high school. No.
So we really did this study for nothing? We're not going to?
No.
Okay.
You
guys know
did
the
a
plan.
study, so you know where you stand.
Okay, thank you.
So every now and then, so that's a good question. So we sit on the Northeast Emergency Regional Crisis Team. There are times when FEMA monies are available to purchase things that we then have access to. The FEMA team has purchased an inflatable tent that could be used medically that would go up there in other pieces. If the FEMA team told me that they have money available for a project and is there something I need, the very first thing I'm going to do is pull out that generator study.
Okay. So this gives you the ability to ask for FEMA money or possible grants if you know how much you need to get.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I believe your next question was an update on the audit.
Before I get,
Sure.
on the last page, I just want to make a notation. You highlighted the word draft on all of these reports. You might want to just,
So I've highlighted the word draft on the reports because we have a simultaneous board meeting happening right now. And what generally happens is the board meeting takes place and then they approve these to go to the Board of Finance. They have not approved these reports. I have given them to the Board of Finance because we have a good relationship, and they will be approving these tonight.
So should we table them till next month because they haven't been approved by the Board of Finance?
we could, but I do have two other questions.
Sure.
On the last page, you have new grants that are listed. Well, actually, one new grant, interdistrict co-op grant.
The interdistrict cooperative
You
grant.
expect that to be approved. What is the anticipated dollar amount of that grant?
So, yeah, the interdistrict cooperative grant is an interesting grant. It's a state grant that requires a local LEA, or a local educational agency, to host it. However, it's implemented through EastCon. This particular interdistrict cooperative grant is called the American Mosaic. What this cooperative grant does is we are the host, meaning we accept the money, we give it to EastCon to implement, and EastCon implements a series of programs between our schools and other schools so that our students have the opportunity to access things in other places. This particular grant, I believe, targets 7th grade to middle school. So when you ask how much actual money is there, we are a pass-through for the interdistrict grant, much in the same way we're a pass-through for Title III.
And that grant doesn't show up in any budgets anywhere.
It doesn't because
won't
it
affect our
goes,
MBR in the end.
it goes straight through, like, very much like the adult ed. You know, we get adult ed money that passes right through to EastCon, and EastCon provides those programs.
Do we have any other questions on this draft report? If not, then I will refer to Sean's suggestion that we table this until next month so we get the final approval.
I make a motion, we table this Board of Education budget report until next month after Board of Education has approved it.
Thank you, Sean. I'll present both budgets. Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry, you haven't voted yet.
I'll say.
All right, we have a motion on the table to, motion on the floor to table this report until next month, and until it reaches the DOE final approval, then present it to us. Seconded, motion made by Sean, seconded by Gary. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of tabling this till next month, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, next item on our agenda is a brief update on the audit.
Sure. So myself, Ms. Vashon, Mr. Cunningham have had two separate meetings, and Mr. Richards have had two separate meetings with Markham since the last time that we've gone through. When we had our initial meeting, there was a request to redo the cash and the way it comes in as deferred revenue on all 55 accounts that we have. So since that time, Mr. Richards took all 55 accounts from the fiscal year, which was not full year, and redid all of that money as Markham had asked. That was all submitted. We had a meeting on Tuesday where Markham spoke to it. They have acknowledged that they have all of the information from the Board of Ed. They've had it for over a week without making any changes or recommendations or asking for anything additional. I would say optimistically that means we're all done, but I'm going to acknowledge that over a week counts 2 President's Day weekend days, and I don't know what Markham's progress was on those days. Before I came, I checked with Mr. Richards. I asked, is there anything new from Markham? He says there are no new questions. We spoke with Markham. We don't anticipate Markham will be completely done in the month of February, given where we are. However, we are extended through March. And I'd say the last meeting with Markham was very positive. And all of our accounts have now been completely aligned. Kelly, is that the best word?
They've been submitted to Markham and they're going to start the audit.
They've been submitted. What I want to note is that our cash accounts, our deferred accounts, even things like scholarships that exist in old binders have all burned up to the current format. So the question that someone had asked earlier is, how does this not happen again? It doesn't happen again because never previously has everything been in the format Markham wanted. Markham has always made a recommendation to format verbally, although it wasn't in writing, saying we prefer things to be in this format. This time they've held us to the fire and said we want these in this format because that's the most efficient way for us to look at them. So everything is now in that format and will be in that format moving forward.
Any other questions?
I have a question that's not about the audit, but it is for
Okay, what is it about?
the feasibility study.
Sure.
Where does it stand?
So I had another member ask me this question. So where we are right now with the feasibility study is there's 8 components of the feasibility study. 7 of the 8 have been submitted to us and we've given payment for 6 of the 8. The 7th just came through. If anyone would like to see the feasibility study where it sits right now, if you go onto our website, to departments and facilities, there's actually a website that we maintain by law that has our air testing, our water testing, our radon testing. All of those reports are there, as are the 7 preliminary reports of the facility study. There is one additional report coming in on space utilization, and they need to bring it in accord with the new Connecticut HVAC laws, which were passed in the last session. We do anticipate that to be in early March. We have a capital improvement meeting next Wednesday, which is the 28th or 29th. I don't have a calendar directly in front of me. It is next Wednesday, where our board will be going over those pieces and taking a look at those items. A question that I've been asked both on our website and by individuals is they've asked the question, they said, we have the feasibility study, we look at the space, does that mean you're closing or changing a facility next year? When the study was approved, and when we looked at this with the bonds and other pieces, it was always a plan to align any changes that needed to take place with the buildings with the building bonds. That had always been the case. It's not immediate to move a school or change a school facility or bring things up to code. So there had never been a plan in doing the study to make a fast movement. The study makes recommendations. Those recommendations go to the town to discuss. Because there will need to be changes and additions, and I don't want to find myself in a situation where I can't explain a change order, and I want to be sure that we do it properly.
Now, you say it goes to the town to discuss. Who do you mean in the town? The residents or the selectmen?
That's
just the board of ed?
That's ultimately up to the board of ed. As part of the facility study, when the facility study is complete, Bureau Veritas, who did the study, will be making a public presentation. as part of the study. They're talking about all of the buildings, all of the recommendations. Those are in our capital plan right now. They have space utilization recommendations, and they have annual maintenance recommendations.
So they're gonna come and give a presentation for the
Yes.
Board of Ed, which are soon to be open to the public.
Of course.
And I assume we'll probably do it at the high school in the auditorium.
I don't have the full report yet, but I did have someone ask me, can they see what we have early? So everything we have is, and there was a timeline, if you look at the original bit of when they would deliver certain deliverables, every deliverable they've delivered is online.
Okay.
So thank you for the questions. I think lots of people had the question.
So hopefully before the end of the school year, we'll be having a presentation.
I hope, very much so. Hopefully much earlier than that.
I would have liked to see it a month ago, before the budget season.
I do have a Board of Ed meeting happening right now, so I would.
Are there any other questions for this superintendent?
I've exhausted mine.
What's that?
I've exhausted mine.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if I can just say, police department's helped us out with two things recently, and they've been amazing. So just extend my gratitude to the PD for the town.
Thank you. Okay. Our last order of business is to nominate and vote upon the replacement for the vacated full member position for the Republican Party. I do have at hand Adrian Ferrari's official resignation letter. And so that we can now move forward with this next step. And first of all, I would like to personally nominate and then introduce our candidate for this position, and that would be Stephanie Walsh. And I know that I did not give you a heads up on this, but if you would like to stand and share a few thoughts about your desire to be upon the board and maybe some of your qualifications.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Walsh. I'm a registered Republican and a member of the Republican Town Committee. I've lived in Plainfield for almost my whole life. I've owned a house in town for almost 10 years now. I have a business degree, bachelor's degree in business management from New England Tech. I've worked for Stop and Shop for about 15 years now. In the last 3 years, I've been a store manager. And then I would just like to say I would love the opportunity to get to help and be part of the town and part of the board, and just want to thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Stephanie?
I just got a comment. Obviously, she's had interest in this because she's been to the last, I would say, 2 or 3 Board of Finance meetings, and I did see her at the Board of Education's audit presentation, so she's definitely showing an interest, more so than some.
Any other questions or comments? All right, this time I'll entertain a motion that we nominate and elect Stephanie to replace Adrian Ferrari as a full member of the Board of Finance.
I'll move that.
All right, we have a motion on the table from Lynn. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a tie for second. Don, seconded by Don, to nominate and elect Stephanie as a replacement for Adrian on the Board of Finance. All those in favor, signify.
Point of clarification,
Yes, sir.
appoint, right? We're not electing her, are we?
Correction, thank you. To appoint her as Adrian's replacement to fulfill his remaining portion of his term. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. You're welcome. At this time, I will open up the floor to any citizens' participation. If there's anybody that would like to address the board with any questions.
I'd love to. I want to talk about the 12 feet. No, just kidding.
And if you could state your name and whether you're not you're a resident.
My name is Scott Charlotte, live at 35 Sterling Road, Vincent, Connecticut. So I just want to, I know this isn't a budget meeting, but I just want to talk about the budget real quick, because You see the numbers that the Board of Ed is putting out there, 1.8 million, plus another almost close to $400,000 in capital expenditures. If you think 2.2 million is going to pass in this town, it's not going to happen. Last year with what got increased, just my taxes alone went up $85. Just last week, I got a notice from my mortgage company that said my mortgage is going up $150. I can afford it, okay? There are many single parents who cannot afford that. There are many elderly who cannot afford that. So you really have to think hard, and you need to push back on the Board of Ed. To hear that the study is not out there yet is very disappointing. That should be out before the budget season comes. Because unfortunately, they're probably going to get to the number you're going to need to as a town, they're probably going to have to shut a school. Because otherwise they're not going to get there. All right, so I just wanted to give my input on that because there's a lot of people hurting in this town. My wife works in the school system. She sees these kids. She sees these kids not come with snacks. She sees all kinds of stuff. I talk to a lot of people in town. There's people who get their lights shut off because different things. People who rent these properties over here. I was a landlord. Guess what? If my taxes go up $150 a month, guess whose rent's going up $150 a month? That's the way it goes. So it affects all the people who rent who cannot afford a home as well. So I just want you to take all that into account and realize the 2.2 million, and I don't even know what Kevin's offering on the town side, but 2.2 million is not going to fly. And last year the school budget went up 917,000 and my taxes went up 85. So you got to think about that. I don't even think 900,000 is going to fly. So this is where we need the feasibility study. We need to see what comes out of it. Can you close a school? Can you rearrange things? Can you, I look at some of the things in the budget, $300,000 extra for transportation. Somebody's got to take a look at that contract because that's ridiculous. I do transportation for a living. That's a 10% increase that they're asking for the school bus company. They don't drive hundreds of miles like my trucks do. I don't ask for a 10% increase, even with fuel going up at this point. So those are the things that have to be looked at through any studies that they do, right? And somebody has to look into it and not just leave it up. Look at the contracts. What do those bus contracts say? It's driving the cost up $300,000, 10%. What is causing that to happen? So you need to look at everything that's going on. I looked real quick at the labor. He's saying that they're going to rise labor 5.2%. There's not a contract that they have that raises anybody's salary more than 2.5%. I know what they're trying to do. They're boosting the number up because they're going to plan on adding staff. This is not the time to add staff. The company I work for, revenue's not there. Guess what I just had to do? I laid off my manager, I laid off a supervisor. You have to cut staff. It's unfortunate. I'm not saying I have to cut it. And this is not somebody makes too much money. Teachers make too much money, because they don't. It's not that the administrators make too much money. They don't. But you have to look at staffing, because at some point in time, the money's going to run out. People start foreclosing on you on up another $75. It's all the expenses that are just getting out of control, and unfortunately, the taxes is part of that. But I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board? All right. If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Oh, yes, sir.
can I have a couple of minutes?
Sure.
First of all, I agree with the gentleman. I don't vote, but if I ever get a chance to vote, it's going to be a zero budget this year. And I'm going to try to convince the rest of the board members that there is no increase in the budget this year. It's going to have to remain the same. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you got to do it. Personally, my taxes went up last year 20%. That's ridiculous. Commercial, industrial, and utilities, 5%. So the rich guys don't have to get that kind of an increase. It's the retired guys, the old guys. That's ridiculous. So we got to start now. It's going to be tough, but zero increase on anybody's budget. One more item. I don't know if it's been brought up to the board or not, but Dean and I have discussed the prayer. Can you enlighten me as to what may have happened on the negative part of that?
I think we run into the complication of separation of church and state.
What are we talking about?
Can you explain that to me?
I think we run into risk of being violation of the separation of church and state. Now, I don't personally have a problem with prayer.
Yeah,
Trust me, before we start, I usually do.
I hear your answer, but what constitutes the separation of church and state?
I think you.
If I say God bless the Board of Finance, is that a separation of church and state?
No, it's a personal comment.
What are we talking about?
A while back, Ted approached me.
Prayer at a meeting.
Yeah,
Say a prayer at a meeting.
Prayer at a meeting.
I do that at church.
What's that?
What if
Do
we
that
had
at
like a
church.
moment of
Not
silence
in
after
front
the
of a
Pledge of
meeting.
Allegiance or something? Would that suffice?
I don't know.
Like what if we had a moment of silence after the Pledge of Allegiance where we could do our own personal prayer, perhaps?
I'm suggesting we say it out loud, but that's your preference, fine.
But I'm
All
saying
I'm
that
trying to
that
do
would
is
be something.
clarify where we stop
Point
the
of
church.
order, Ted, we should be discussing this under new business or old business. I never heard about it, but I might have not been there.
When
No,
did we
no,
have
this
new
was
business?
just a private conversation with
I think this is new business.
Well, no, we're past new business, aren't we?
Where is it? I didn't see it.
Item number 4. We're under citizens' participation.
We're on adjournment.
Yeah. We can.
So you don't want to talk about it?
Well, I just
Make
want
the
to talk
motion, we
about
don't
it
talk
in the
about it.
correct order, Ted. What are you saying?
I
I
said
didn't
make a
hear what
motion
you
if
said.
you.
I still
We
didn't hear what you
already
said.
have, looking for a motion to adjourn. But what we can do is we can put it on the agenda for next month.
Thank you.
There you go. Make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn by Linda, seconded by Lisa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.